Good evening and welcome to the We Are Rise Show. I'm your host, Brett C. Collins. Welcome back to the We Are Rise Show. It's good to see everybody. Yes, I was busy Wednesday and Thursday. That's why I wasn't here, and I apologize. I did a 4-hour show with Thomas on True Reporting for the State of the Union address, and then I had other obligations to take care of. I was really busy. So tonight's show, a slow burn unraveling the Clinton files. The Clinton depositions. We're going to really break it down. Coercive diplomacy versus deterrence. We're going to get to breaking news about Iran. CNN is out. Apparently, they're out big time. And Annex Cuba. What does that look like? If we're going to take over Cuba, what the hell does that look like? And I think it's real. Election emergency. That is our next discussion. I'm like, oh my God. Election emergency. Another executive order that is going to be put in place because there is proof that China was involved in stealing our election. And then who does that really trickle down to and with? Oh, my God. Welcome in to everybody on the show. We were rated by woke societies. Welcome into the We Are Rise show. Let's welcome my co-host, Marshall Smith. What's going on?
Oh, not a whole lot. Rain, spring weather's here. The Florida strawberries are in full mode. We were talking about that earlier, and yeah, I mean, everything's all good, man.
No, I know it's raining. It's raining hard right now. We're getting that spring weather coming in Florida. You could tell it was raining. It's raining most of the day. I was like shocked to see it. We need it really bad. It's warmed up. It sucks if you have a dog and can't walk them. I want to thank Woke Societies for rating the chat. We are on YouTube. I want to say hello to everybody on YouTube over there. Please just subscribe, share if you want. If you want to support the channel, you can go to ko-fi.com/surfdog74. That's Marshall. Or you can go to buymeacoffee.com/wearerise. Who else is here? I want to say hello, everybody on Rumble. Good to see you over there on Rumble. What's up, Nog Dog? True Terran, good to see you. Tracer C4. It's 51 here in Michigan, getting ready for another storm. My God, it never ends, does it? I might have to go to Michigan in November for a wedding, apparently, I'm told. I don't know if that's true or not. I try to avoid weddings as much as possible because they're financially cost, let's just say, they put you, I mean, you could spend on a wedding. If you got to travel, you got to do this, you got to buy this, you got to buy that. This is like $3,000 out. I'll save my time for funerals, but I digress. Hello over here on pill.net. Thank you, Wood USA, for 217 gold pills. Thea dropping 1,700 gold pills. FAFO Friday for the Clinton crew. Yeah, we're going to hit them hard. Curious Cat, thank you for the cookie. Hello out there. Who else is here tonight? Patty B, Trusty Turnip, Trump One. Good to see you. What's up, Sausage Launcher? And everybody from Woke Societies, thank you so much for being here, being in the chat. We're going to get to it right away. I don't want to belabor everything that's going on. So we understand what's taking place with the Clintons testified. Rotten Box testified on yesterday. And then here we go with Bill. And I'm going to actually, you know what? I might just bring you some of the stuff that was brought out today with breaking news. And, I might as well just cover that right now because I want to get to it. I want to cover this right now, but I think in some way we might have to cover some of this right now because the big breaking news, I think personally, is what we're going to cover is the coercive diplomacy and deterrence, which is really relegated to the discussion about Iran. And this is what came out today. And I think we should focus on that because everything else is just, I'm not going to put the Clintons meaningless or anything like that. But we're going to break it down in some way. But I think this is really important. Iran has agreed to give up its stockpile of enriched material, zero accumulation, allow for full verification by IAEA of its nuclear program. Wow, that's amazing. And according to U.S. talks, mediator Oman's foreign minister, Badar Badazudar. Okay, let's play this.
Joining me now is the foreign minister of Oman, Badr al-Busaidi, who is the mediator negotiating a nuclear deal between the United States and Iran.
Because your country was going to get wrecked.
So President Trump said Friday he's not happy with the way talks are going and not happy that they're not willing to give us what we have.
Tonight is Ramrod Friday.
From your point of view,
Iran was thinking about getting ramroded by some
confident, and in my assessment
Oh, my God.
of the way the talks are going, I think there is really, I can see that the peace deal is within our reach.
A peace deal?
Yes, is within our reach if
Told
we
you.
allow diplomacy.
Within their reach or our reach? Consider the words that they're using. You got to use a lot of padding, verbosity. Think about what he just said. Within their reach. What does that mean? That doesn't mean shit. That doesn't mean anything to this president. It's what I said to you Tuesday night after we parted ways on True Reporting, after we did the actual State of the Union address. I said that the whole idea, the confluence of events that's taking place with this whole thing is really about a lot twofold. And I'll get to it, but I don't really want to tip my hand. I just want to get people to understand there's a lot of hullabaloo that's surrounding this. And I think that's really why the drama is heating up. Listen to the rest of what this guy is saying.
The space it needs to get there, because I don't think any alternative to diplomacy is going to solve this problem.
You hear that?
When you say space, does that mean you are asking?
There is no alternative of space that they have room to wiggle on to solve this problem. You hear that? That's what he just said. Let's continue.
For more time to continue negotiations?
I'm asking to continue this process because we have already achieved quite a substantial progress.
Are they buying time for their nuclear scenario to go online, the nuclear capability go online? Is that what the level of discussion that is being thrown out there, all the other talking points and narrative? Or what are they asking for per se? And the question is, will the bagel media explain it?
In the direction of a deal. And the heart of this deal is very important. And I think we have captured that heart.
When you say the heart of the deal, Iran has said this has to be nuclear only. What have you actually agreed upon? Can you give us any sense of why there should be more time?
Because if the ultimate objective is to ensure forever that Iran cannot have a nuclear bomb, I think we have cracked that problem through these negotiations by agreeing a very important breakthrough that has never been achieved any time before. And I think if we can capture that and build on it, I think a deal is within our reach.
What has Iran?
And there you go. I'm not going to belabor this. We got more to go on. I think that was an excellent overview, a summation of what's taking place, but good in some way because every channel on YouTube, Rumble, everybody, it's imminent. It's all coming down. The Trump administration has betrayed MAGA. We're going to hit Iran. And I said to you on Tuesday, be careful about that because a lot of the talking points, the narrative, all could be for an obfuscation and what it was set up, the parlance and the vernacular as was in some ways that we'll take a back seat. We're there in some way, maybe to make sure that the region doesn't go hot by any of its, let's just say, enemies or Israel in some way, and we're left picking up the bag. And then there are many other news outlets or let's say rag media had discussed that we allowed Israel to go and hit them first and we'll clean up the pieces, clean up an aisle 7 rectal bleeding. That wasn't going to happen. That's not going to happen. And even though the Trump's rhetoric and let's just say misspoke of today was hard, fast, and loose, it doesn't mean it's necessary. How do you assemble a peace plan in some way, a peace unity, a peace concord of groups of people where you abstract nations, multilateral nations away from the UN who have never gotten the opportunity or the viability to have realistic power in some way? All they have to do is what? Invest $1 billion in and be a part of this, let's just say, group collective of solving problems, meaning as a group contingency, we're there to make sure that we will rain down holy hell on anybody that doesn't want to take part of this, and anybody that gets in our way of making sure a peace deal is brokered. Let's move on, because I got so much more to talk about. I want to get into the Rotten Box stuff. We'll get to Marshall's thoughts. Like, share, and subscribe. Drop us a gold pill. Comments, questions, concerns. If you want to tip jar the channel, that's great. If you want to support the Rise program, you know what to do on Rumble. You know how to do it on pill.net. You could do so on YouTube as well. Let's move on this, because this was the conundrum that I thought was taught. And look, I'm going to play this because I'm not going to read it, because it's just, you got to listen to what is being said. And I'll give you all the encapsulations, but this is one of the best things I have saw today or yesterday regarding Hillary leaves Bill holding the Epstein baby. What does that mean? Do you understand that her testimony yesterday put him into what? A targeted effect. Now, the question will be, does this set a precedent, ladies and gentlemen, that the first former president is compelled to testify before Congress in over 40 years? I absolutely believe that is what is taking place. I think that if you can deduce, you can glean, you can sift through this stuff, that was the major components that you will take away after Bill Clinton's testimony. And will the Democrats get their wish through the committee to push for Trump's testimony on Epstein's connection? No, I don't think so. So what you need to understand is that the Epstein-Maxwell connection, the ethics violation, the Clinton Foundation, the global initiative, the links and ties to powerful names and figures being shielded. Will more subpoenas come? Absolutely. Entertainers, more billionaires, and academia are all on the chopping block that had a 6 degrees of desperation with Epstein, and this is what you're seeing right now. They don't get off because they lied. Yes, I don't recall is their nom de guerre. That's how they speak. I don't recall, because that's legal speak, is that I know what you're asking me, but I'm not going to tell you the truth. That's what I don't recall means. Do you understand that? Let's play this. It's only 4 minutes and 27 seconds. It's better you hear it this way than me speaking about it.
The Clinton Conundrum. Epstein Who? By Mark Angelides. Today, February 27th, former President Bill Clinton will face a grilling from the House Oversight Committee, which seeks to gather information regarding his ties to late financier and sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein. Former First Lady and ex-Secretary of State Hillary Clinton appeared yesterday and apparently provided little information in the closed-door session. What she reportedly delivered, however, was a near-constant refrain of, "You'll have to ask my husband." In what is perhaps a subtle jibe at the nature and purpose of the events, Friday's deposition.
You have to ask my husband, basically leaving everything upon him, because as a former president, does he have some type of, let's just say, maneuverability in this in some way? Does he have some protection? Well, according to President Trump and the Supreme Court, he does. And so she fast-tracked everything and piled this up onto him in a lot of ways, because the Supreme Court, as they went after President Trump and his, let's just say, how much of power does he have as a president outside the office of presidency and clearance? Remember that? And I think this goes exactly to the heart of this matter. And that's what we're looking at.
Like Hillary's, will be held at the Chappaqua Performing Arts Center in New York. But whether the theatrics are on the part of the committee or the Clintons is almost certainly in the eye of the beholder. The ties that bind. Bill Clinton's interactions with Epstein and his co-conspirator, Ghislaine Maxwell, are long and storied, with multiple trips on Epstein's private plane. Maxwell reportedly had deep ties to the Clinton Global Initiative, including donations and organizing efforts. As the New York Times reported, Miss Maxwell took part in budget discussions related to the first Clinton Global Initiative conference, talked through challenges about it with both Clinton Aids and Publicis Group, the company that produced the inaugural event, and arranged to wire $1 million to pay Publicis for its work on the Clinton Project. Hillary Clinton's associations are much more limited, and she claims to have never met Epstein. She does, however, admit to having met with Maxwell on a number of occasions. Neither Clinton is accused of wrongdoing, and yet the committee's stated scope is to uncover the alleged federal mismanagement in the Epstein investigation.
Right. So the key to understanding this is, as he finishes breaking down, there's only like 2 minutes left, and I wanted you to hear that, is that it's not necessarily about the part and parcel of all the sexcapades. It's about the Clinton initiative, global initiative, Epstein funding the Clinton Foundation. It's about the links and ties. Are they involved in Uranium One? How many other people were involved that were shielded and protected by this in some way? Consider that. This is so much bigger. It's not about honeypots. It's not about sex traps in so many ways. It's not about anything. It's straight up grift and grab, bribe, greed, and probably the most amount of bribery, treason, and sedition you've ever seen. That's what this is about. Listen to the rest of this.
And to determine how Epstein and Maxwell sought to curry favor with high-ranking officials. In this, it seems that the depositions have a warranted investigative merit. The Clinton legitimacy test. In her opening statement, Mrs. Clinton accused the committee of making political hay for no purpose. You have compelled me to testify, fully aware that I have no knowledge that would assist your investigation, in order to distract attention from President Trump's actions and to cover them up despite legitimate calls for answers, Clinton said. She added, what is being held back? Who is being protected? And why the cover-up? So either questioning people about their ties to Epstein and Maxwell is an illegitimate use of congressional resources, or it isn't. To state that she and her husband's well-documented associations are not worthy of consideration while arguing that Donald Trump's are is a logic bomb that has yet to detonate. The vanquished presidential candidate further stated that this institutional failure is designed to protect one political party and one public official, rather than to seek truth and justice for the victims and survivors, as well as the public who also want to get to the bottom of this matter. My heart breaks for the survivors, and I am furious on their behalf. According to Oversight Committee Chair Representative James Comer, Republican Kentucky, the number of times that she said, I don't know, you'll have to ask my husband, was more than a dozen. And perhaps getting Hillary Clinton on record regarding her husband was the chief purpose of Thursday's deposition. A Democrat rebuttal.
Think about that. Was that the chief purpose? Absolutely. How much leverage and how much, let's just put it this way, in some way, does the Supreme Court look at Bill Clinton and have some type of pass in this matter? Not in these regards, because this happened after he was president, not during his presidency. So his viability, his accountability, his responsibility happened thereafter, whether it was culminated during his presidency and then created through the global initiative of the Global Foundation, of the Clinton Foundation, totally separate. And I think that's why Rotten Box put everything on him to take the fall. The question is, how will he take the fall? Will Americans look at him more sympathetically than Rotten Box? And will his time under the spotlight carry weight for him to slowly die off in the ether? Keep that in mind.
What yesterday's events and those expected today will do is provide fuel for calls to have Trump sit before the committee.
Yep.
Representative Robert Garcia, Democrat, California, was quick off the mark to demand a political quid pro quo, saying, this committee has now set a new precedent about talking to presidents and former presidents. And we're demanding immediately that we ask President Trump to testify in front of our committee,
Obama,
and be deposed in front of oversight
Bush,
Republicans and Democrats. And that should happen immediately. A Clinton spokesperson hinted at the same, saying the couple look forward to setting a precedent that applies to everyone.
Wow.
Having the Clintons appear before the committee, if only after threats of contempt charges, will likely not bring any new answers. It is, however, the ultimate political football, but both sides should be wary that it does not morph into a hot potato. You're listening to Liberty Nation.
I guarantee you that last point of contention that Rotten Box was speaking about, and I'm not going to play it, but it says having the Clintons appear for the committee only after threats of contempt charge will likely not bring any new answers. However, the ultimate political football. A Clinton spokesperson hinted at the same, saying the couple look forward to setting precedent. A precedent to who? President Trump or Barack Obama? And the question is, who do they loathe more? Think about that. Who do they loathe more? I'm not saying they got to pass. But the possibility that what you're seeing right now, the smokescreen that's up, is all to bring in the great Satan, the black Satan, the dark horse. Marshall, your thoughts?
Yeah, this is going to, no matter what Hillary does or did during that, including screaming, the video is going to come out of this all of
Well,
this.
that's the whole point, that we're going to get the video footage of the testimony of this whole precursor, both for Bill and Rotten Box, and how she exploded, how she can't control herself. And the question is, a lot of people like, who was that in 2017, 18, 19 that was thrown into the van during 9/11? And who is this broad now? Is she still alive? Is she someone? Is there someone playing? I mean, what are we to see here right now? She sounds like her. She looks like her. She acts like her. So we're saying she's still viable in some way, or this great creative artist making sure that she keeps up that end to perpetuate a lie and a false narrative to fool the American public that and get them more, let's just say, relegated and involved in some way. I'm not saying that that's not her, and I'm not saying that she's alive or dead, but many people are dispelling the notion is that I don't know what we're watching right now. You know what I'm saying?
It's going to fall back on, no matter how hard she tried during that, it's going to fall back on her, not Bill.
Right.
She's way more guilty of.
Well, she's blaming her husband for more of the personal connections or interconnections or intersectionality of those two.
It just makes it worse for her, really.
Well, it makes it worse because now this is a perjury trap. This is about reputational. This is about political and historical facts that it will go down when they are proven to be perjured in some way. The repute that's there, the quality that's seen or judged by the mass will basically show that the Clintons' viability, prestige, clout has not only shrunken and declined in their own party, weakening the brand and the machine that may still be there, where there are certain billionaires or entrepreneurs and people that want to propagate certain people to move into position of power. Expect more civil suits, documentaries, books, and I think the pressure from government officials for more. And again, does this normalize more subpoenas, ladies and gentlemen? All right. To proceed with leisurely and desirable speed of hauling in more witnesses. Yes, defendants and subjects in a chaos that looms over everything that is not going to be, let's just say, in some way, proffered for a reason or an answer after these two testimonies. That's why I call it a slow burn of unraveling, a sunlight on the Epstein web or a sunset, because in some way, these two people, all right, that are lying to the American people, lying to the House Oversight Committee, were there, part and parcel. I believe Epstein was funding the Global Clinton Initiative. I believe it was funding the foundation. That's how they were able to use a lot of these funds to basically blackmail, bribe, and control people. They were using the foundation on many different levels. They were using the foundation to lure in big name figures in some way that they can shield. I think that the subpoenas that are dropping that will come will show the connection to these people. So is it now 6 degrees of desperation of Epstein, or is it 6 degrees of what? The Clinton Global Initiative and the foundation, and how they were all tied together. And then whether or not you can prove perjury or not, what is going to take place? Probably nothing. But I think ultimately the brand is ruined. And I think that is the ultimate goal. President Trump stuns the media when he asked Bill Clinton's deposition, a reporter, are you concerned all about President Clinton being deposed, and that sets a precedent for you and your family? I don't like seeing him deposed, but they certainly went after me. They did. Let's listen to this.
don't like seeing him deposed, but you know, they certainly went after me a lot more than that. I don't like seeing him. Look, I like him, and I don't like seeing him deposed.
I truly believe he does like Bill Clinton.
Well, everybody
he
does.
despises Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
I think we all do, Marshall.
Yeah.
But I think in some way, this is bigger than Bill and bigger than Hillary. This is all about Obama, bringing him into the forefront. They went after President Trump. So the accountability, the viability, and the responsibility is now demanded upon Congress and the Oversight Committee to deliver for all political sects, left, middle, and right. And thus, this will continue. It has to continue in some way. It's not going to die down because the 6 degrees of desperation that intersects and cross-sects and has so much intersectionality in so many ways, Marshall, that is what's unraveling this puzzle. Because now we see it's more than honeypots. It's more than sex trafficking. It's more than just sex. It's more than DNA harvesting or about harvesting bone marrow, harvesting and creating up and setting up another generation of children through some type of acolytes that were part of this sick, twisted mantra of creating a new race. It's more than that. There's so much financial fraud. There's so much padding about this. The convolution and discussions about how we view this in so many ways really brings forth is that you're going to have to depose too many more people that were intersected. Anybody that ran in the Clinton circle or the Clinton Global Initiative will have to be deposed in some way to find out what the hell were they doing. What was this Clinton Global Initiative? What was the foundation set up about? What were they using? What were they selling? Who were they a part of? I think this leads into bigger names in some way. And that's what we're about to see. That's the accountability. That's the viability we talked about. And that's what you're seeing. You have to show the American people what is taking place and understand what is going on. You just can't just arrest everybody and just say, throw the charges later on. No, you have to show everybody that the system across the world, okay, even in this country and across the world, south of the border, north of the border, everywhere is broken, it is rotten, and it's all been maligned by this, I would say malfeasance, this, what's the term? It's called I was told this is called a fogless, it's a fogless something that I was told. It's like, I forget the terminology. It's a fogless feign where you don't really see it, you know, in some way. You're just waning off of it, and then you're inhaling all the fumes thereafter. I forget what it is, but I'll get back to you on that, Marshall.
Yeah, you know, I'll tell you, when the next step, I believe, or very soon, will be that they'll go to Trump for this, you know, a testimony or whatever you want to deposit, whatever. And he'll gleefully do that, I guarantee you.
Right.
Once he does that, that's going to set up Obama to go in.
Right.
He's going to have no wiggle room to get out of that one because the actual sitting president just did it. So you're not going to get away with that one. That's going to bring him in and Michelle and others like probably Podesta.
Well, I don't know if they're going to get Michelle in, but the question is
Podesta
that because,
maybe, I don't know.
well, the only reason they got Ron Box in, she was Secretary of State. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know what the testimony for Big Mike is going to come in here, but obviously this sets the precedent for Obama. It does in some way, and it will lead to a causal connection because I believe Hillary Clinton will lead us to that in some way and put Obama under the bus. I think so. When they realize they have no way out. Let's listen to Rotten Box.
It then got at the end
quite
unusual
and UFOs.
because I started being asked about UFOs and a series of questions about
what's a bigger distraction, Pizzagate or UFOs? You hold that thought.
Pizzagate, one of the most vile, bogus conspiracy theories that was propagated on the...
Wait a minute. Her circumlocution, which is basically a use of excessive indirect language to obfuscate a thought. So again, listen to what she's saying. This is a circumlocution. All right. And what she's saying is right now, she's expressing her opinion about how she feels about Pizzagate. And there's a question. Why didn't you elaborate and expand upon or expound upon UFOs like she did this?
Internet that was propagated on the internet.
Propagated.
That was serving as the basis of a member's questions to me. So I can only say that the best exchange that I had came at the very end, when, contrary to every other deposition they have taken, no Republican member asked any questions about Jeffrey Epstein or Ghislaine Maxwell to anyone else they have deposed.
How would she know that? She doesn't know that. I mean, she's basically making an assumption, all right, that she's generally giving, let's just say, media a quarter to expound upon, but she doesn't know that. She has no idea. Let me give you something else. This is Nancy Mace. I'm not a big fan of her, but there was a lot of stuff that was dropped today, so we're just going to roll through it. We'll get Marshall's take in a second. Let's just roll through it. A lot of interesting takes. But I will say this right now. Again, normalizing this in some way, this was a perjury trap. Whatever you believe or think or take away from Rotten Box Clinton, there is more stuff around the table. And thus, they didn't want to get into it in some way. They just wanted her to speak and talk and, let's just say, pad the information out, whether it was true or not, so they can get on record to showcase at one time or another that she had a cross-section and intersectionality and, let's just put it this way, a conversation with Jeffrey Epstein in emails. And we know that to be true. The only reason that we're seeing this is that we're setting up the trap. Now, she will be able to give up goods later on when something is nailed to the cross of her, but I don't think in some way they're worried about it because they lie so fluently they don't or cannot see any amount of truth going forward. But I think to blame her husband on everything really sets a stage in some way that he might proffer more information in the future to defend his wife, who's disgusting, and blame it on Obama. That's my thought. Let's play this.
No, she didn't want to answer any questions about any of that and deferred most of those, if not all of those questions to her husband. And he will be thoroughly asked about that today. You know, what did he know? When did he know? What did he see? Because there are other people who've come forward publicly, like Kevin Spacey, who thought all of this was very strange and actually a very high risk for president of the United States or former president. It's all very bizarre, but I asked her very pointed questions, and you'll see that in the transcript in the video that comes out, and you'll see how she responded as well, screaming.
And we'll close.
And I think in some way that when we see that, that will basically put an end of the Clintons, the Clinton machine, everything that's why they set this up. Because if she was on camera, she knew full well she couldn't act in some way that she was proffering, that's saying we need to demand for transparency. I need to have an open thing. See, she never thought in some way that she would get out of hand in order to what? Make sure that the revealing would happen and they would show this. Now, she can't block this in any way. So she's screwed. Does she care? No. But that's why she wanted this an open forum. And now that she was able to show who she really was behind closed doors on candid camera, good luck. Good luck. And the machine is dead. I believe the confluence of the machine is over.
We're going to get the video out as quickly as we can get it uploaded in the sound and everything from yesterday. So this is, for all practical purposes, a public deposition. The American people are.
They demand it. Look, is this about politics? Yes, but this is about the transparency that everybody on X is freaking out about. Why can't we get anything about transparency? Well, you're getting more than you could possibly have ever absorbed from the Biden administration, from Obama, from the last Trump presidency. I don't know what the hell you're crying about. You've never seen. And when we see the deposition testimony that will be laid out on video, this is going to be quite striking. And I think it's actually going to pinpoint and carry a lot of weight to the normie NPC class that may not want to really just say, hey, look, man, I supported these people. I was friends with these people. I had, whatever. This basically, I think, sticks a dagger in the heart of the propagandist arm of this leftist ideology that's not so, let's just say, woke crazy as Bill and Hillary are, but they are part of the gay and trans culture, but they're not as progressive and to the left as anything. But this really stabs at the heart, at the middle of the actual Democrat Party, and it really drives a stake and a wedge through it. And whatever is going to be, let's just say, unfurled out is going to blow people's minds.
Going to see it. I've heard C-SPAN's going to air it wire to wire. So everyone's going to see what was asked yesterday. And I think that'll answer a lot of questions, especially with Lutnick and other things like that. Throughout the day, we'll try to send different members.
Okay, enough, Marshall. What's your thoughts? Lutnick, they want to bring Lutnick in. I believe Nancy May said she wants to depose Lutnick. What's your thoughts about it? I got more to go.
Yeah, well, Hillary thought that when she went in this deposition, in the back of her mind, she thought, okay, this is not this is not a live thing. I can just go ahead and I can pull up.
I can't believe that she realized she thought that.
She did something wrong because she showed her ass in this, deposition. So she let herself.
I can't
slip.
imagine, as much as this fucking evil cunt is.
Somewhere.
I can't imagine this person who is very cunning and conniving would not see through that. The idea that they could release the transcript of the video, and so to keep your composure in place would be germane. And so, however she went off script, it got really ugly, Marshall.
Yeah, I mean, let's just say it like this. Let me say it like this, Brett. She fucked up. And now she realizes it after seeing what Comer just said. And now it's too late. Like you said, the dagger's coming. The dagger is coming for the heart. Right. That's it. And when these people that, like you said, the normies and all, I voted for her and blah, blah, they're going to be like, damn, man, I didn't know it was like this. This is a way to bring.
And to realize how crazy of a bitch she was.
Right. Yeah. And so this is going to bring about this whole painful thing we've been going through for the last 8 years, really, that all of us already know. And we're like trying to get these people caught up. And finally, that we're getting there. Just don't let people on the internet tell you they're, bug you out and say, a black pill, whatever you want to call it. Don't let them do that. Just stay the course and let this shit play out. It's going to happen.
Linda Perino on YouTube. There's more to this story than revealed. Yep, I agree with that 100%. FL John 48, glad to see you're on pill.net. Thank you for the cookie. Jay gifted the cookie. Curious Cat gifted the cookie. Hello. Thea dropping 17 on gold pills, and Wood USA dropping 217 gold pills. Thank you for your support. If you want to hit the tip jar, like, share, and subscribe, drop us a gold pill. Comments, questions, concerns, you can help us out. Also on Rumble as well. Drop a tip jar there. You can help out marshallkofi.com/surfdog74. Let's continue on. More to come. Let's play this because I've got to break this down. Listen to what she says here about the oversight committee.
So, I mean, I know she's
right
trying
back.
to pivot from the fact that she's here and she had a very close relationship regarding the Clinton Foundation and Epstein and Maxwell. But the point is, and I think I'd like to hit on this with probably Miss Mace here. But I think we have a very important interest and curiosity about what specifically the co-conspirators had a role in all this, right? We know for a fact that some of these were women. And I think that today, at least with my line of questioning, I'm curious about that. Why is it that these women were given plea deals as adults for trafficking minors? How much of that did they witness, et cetera? And so, I don't know that Secretary Clinton was all that honest about the context of this investigation. We asked extensively about intelligence ties, whether or not she felt that she was targeted as a result of possibly intelligence gathering operation. And she was very curiously interested in that. And then also, you'll hear it in the response, but had told us to follow up with a few countries, one of which is our ally.
Why was she curious about intelligence gathering? What was it? What was postulated there? What was theorized there? What was taking place? Why would she be? And then talking about an ally of the United States. What country is that?
So that's interesting.
I thought that line of questioning, which will be revealed during the deposition and testimony on video that we'll see on C-SPAN, really leads us to a lot of different questions. Like, what is she referring to? What was Hillary Clinton in some way thinking about and pointing to? So again, this deposition, this testimony has far more prevalent discussions that we're led to believe, other than just the symptomatic, small-minded discussion about Epstein, the connection, the island, the hotel, Mexico. All this stuff, really just push it aside for a second. There is so much more, I think, that really weighs on us that people need to focus on. And I think that a lot of people are not really focused on. And I think it's a sad state of affairs that you're not really getting, I think, the soft underbelly of the truth at the moment. Let's continue on. Here we go. This is we asked, I don't know if this is the same. This might be the same thing. All right. Yeah. All right. Let me play this. This was the other thing I saw, and we'll get to Bill Clinton's testimony. We'll have more about Bill Clinton's testimony. So here we go. Investigators confirming there is footage of Bill Clinton and Jeffrey Epstein having sex with underage victims on his plane. This comes from James O'Keefe, and whatever rapes occurred with Bill Clinton on a plane. All right. Well, let's play a little bit. I'm not going to play 13 minutes.
He was a CIA.
He wasn't a CIA. I think he's protecting a lot of other people. He's not protecting himself because there's nothing there, but he's protecting a lot of people.
Because Trump's now saying it's a hoax of the case, like a hoax or something. I mean, come on, it's not a hoax. He's been on the plane, many times. Mm-hmm. It's just he was never on the plane with the kids.
I've seen the itineraries and I've interviewed all the victims. There's never been an instance where Trump was on a plane with these kids and a rape occurred. But that can't be said for Clinton, and it can't be said for others. While the Clintons were on the plane, while Bill Clinton was on the plane, there were rapes that occurred.
Overheard at Phoenix Airport on September 8th, 2025, a senior Justice Department investigator who personally worked on the Epstein case tells all. Glenn Prager, who has reviewed Epstein itineraries and has interviewed Epstein's victims, drops a bombshell. He says that the DOJ did not want to go after Epstein because he's a CIA asset, that the evidence from his investigation confirms that Bill Clinton was present for alleged rapes on the Lolita Express, and that President Trump was not present for the rapes that Glenn Prager investigated, but that he is protecting a lot of other people that were.
How about this whole Epstein thing that's going down?
So I worked on that case. I used to interview all the victims, and my picture was 20 to 30 victims, in Palm Beach that I was interviewing and dealing with and stuff like that. And then we would go ready to go to trial, and they would flip. Epstein would just pay them off, and they were just like these little kids. They pay off their family. They're all broke kids and poor families, and so you pay them off anywhere from $150,000 to $500,000. Nothing in that guy's world.
Prager there describes how the victims that he interviewed were paid off by Epstein right before going to trial. Prager has worked as an investigator inside the Department of Justice for over 20 years. According to Prager's LinkedIn About page, it says that during the tenure at DOJ, Prager served as an inspector overseeing sensitive investigations involving major DOJ components, including the FBI, DEA, Bureau of Prisons, U.S. Marshal Service, ATF, and the U.S. Attorney's offices. This seems to corroborate what Prager told us. He was tasked with interviewing Epstein's rape victims and investigating flight logs. On his backpack in the airport, we spotted an embroidered FBI patch, which caught the attention of our citizen journalist.
I'll tell you this, because no, it's not talked about yet, but it'll soon come out that he was a CIA agent.
He was a CIA.
He wasn't a CIA.
Although many have suspected it to be the case, this is the first time a Department of Justice official has confirmed that Epstein worked for the CIA and is a foreign asset.
So DOJ.
And I'll leave it at that. It's up to you in some way to believe or not to believe James O'Keefe's, let's just say, undercover journalism. In some ways, some people have said that this is all being set up purposely to slow walk this out, to slow leak this out in some way because they can't do it. And so that's why you're seeing this. But the other argument is this, like what he talked about, and I'd say the long short of the Epstein operation. It's not just setting up the foundation for the global Clinton initiative, the global Clinton Foundation, and using that as a bribery tool or a tactic to absorb relative people into the fold in order to what? Honeypot them, blackmail them, and then utilize them to expand upon it. It goes so much bigger. But the long short of the Epstein op, how can one distinguish or discern between the true VICs and the co-conspirators? We already know right now that the collaborators, the Confederates, secretly planning harmful illegal acts of procurement and an acquisition are what was all laid out. That's why the Massey Ro Khanna thing failed. But I think that behind the scenes, there were many subservients that were answering to this bell in some way. They were being paid out privately, clandestine, and working for these secret foundations in a lot of ways. And their names have been kept out of this giant total prison planet we live in, slave planet we live in, and that they were all part of this, contributing to this, and then actually going so far to do deals of treason and sedition far beyond the trafficking and the slave trading and all these other things. This was set up as an operation to make sure that they can go knee deep into the supernatural, I think, Illuminati groups and all the other people, and to dive and dwell in to make sure that they can have a clear and present danger upon them, knowing full well that their operation is now being recorded. Their operation with their players and, let's just say, magistrates are going to be on full blast. Why do you think he hired multiple private investigators to spread around in many different types of these facilities to hide all his information and tapes, whether in Palm Beach or other facilities, all his storage lockers, what have you? It doesn't change my view that there's so much more that we're not seeing. And I believe it is being held for the future portents of the actual indictments for the real high players that are in the shadows that you don't know of. And I do also believe in some way we're not going to know about it. And if we do, it will barely scratch the surface, Marshall.
Yeah, and you'll notice that the only thing that the media is really talking about is Iran, maybe Cuba.
Mm-hmm.
But they're staying as far away from this Epstein stuff as they can. I guess Fox might mention it every now and then, but I saw some on Fox today. They ain't, they're staying way away from it. Anything with aliens or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They do. The most important stories that are out there are the ones that the media is not talking about.
Right.
That's it.
If you're not talking about Epstein 24/7, now you're not talking about the Clintons with the Epsteins. If you're not talking about all these other ruminations that are happening, the coercive diplomacy we'll get into, the Annex of Cuba, election emergency. If you're not talking about hot topics, then you're missing the point. Let's play this. Here's the stripper for Israel breaking after listening to testimony from Bill Clinton. Representative Luna says she believes Epstein was running an intelligence gathering operation. Here you go.
Intelligence gathering operation.
Is this what we find out from Bill Clinton?
I do believe it was a honeypot operation. And I do believe that there's a list of individuals who did engage in trafficking, were given these plea deals. And I'm going to name those individuals right now. The first one would be Leslie Groff. The second one, Sarah Kellen. The third one, Nadia Markova. And the fourth one, Adriana Ross. All of these women engaged in the trafficking of minors as adults. They were working and complicit with Jeffrey Epstein's operation. And in my opinion,
that's what I said. The co-conspirators, the collaborators, the Confederates, secretly planning harmful illegal acts of procurement behind the scenes as he used them as a front to ensnarl and entrap people.
And they are not to be given victim status because they did partake in harming young girls. I remember seeing in some of the files, some of these girls were, as young as 10, 11 years old and older. And so obviously we have a lot of work to do, but I did want to come and give an update and like that.
And I think that's the thing. That's why Thomas Massey, MTG, Rokon have failed, because we know now that a lot of those people behind the scenes, the fake victims, were procurers. They actually got settlements. They worked for Epstein. They weren't victims in any capacity, and that's the problem. You can't throw the baby without the bathwater out with just blanketly saying we're all victims when you're not. You're using the victim card because you were involved, and that's the sad thing. So that reminds me of the Me Too movement. You blame everybody for all these sexual misgivings and deeds, and then no one's a victim, and no one believes you anymore. Well, that's exactly what is taking place. And I don't believe any of them. I believe the true victims are dead. That's what I do believe. I think the true victims are dead. Whoever is procured, acquired, molded, manifested, end up becoming part of the broom. And that broom swept through. I don't know if you can name victims or not. Are there settlements or NDAs that were signed? Absolutely. I don't even care anymore. I don't care about the victims because I think most of the victims are dead, and that's what you should focus on if you can ever excavate and find their bodies. Here's the other thing. The ones that are living right now, you would argue that they're probably not victims. But I digress, and I want to continue on. This was something I saw. This comes from Brad Zerbo. He says this is, again, another Epstein scenario that Bill Clinton's testimony really gives and lends cover to protect or not protect, but to give quarter and a pass to President Trump.
Ranking Member Garcia asked President Clinton, quote, should President Trump be called to answer questions from this committee? And President Clinton said, that's for you to decide. And the president went on to say that the president, Trump, has never said anything to me to make me think he was involved. And he meant with Epstein. Ranking Member Garcia.
Wow. Marshall, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, Billy's being honest. And
is Billy getting a pass because President Trump has lied on him? I mean, or is Bill Clinton being deposed as the precedent in some way? And so he's proffering points of view and information. Now, will we see that information in the videos that will be released on C-SPAN, as we were told by Comer and Luma representatives about Rottenbox? Or will that remain? Because we haven't heard anything about that.
Yeah, I think Bill is he's going to kind of smooth. He's going to sail through this, I think, to a degree. I mean, he'll have a little bit of this.
Is that fair, though? I mean, is that fair?
It depends.
Are you saying that you don't believe that he didn't have sex with any of these underage girls? That,
well, if he did, look, I'm sure he probably did. Did he do this stuff with like really, really young children? I kind of doubt it.
No, I think that his Nerf blood was
the young girls.
Yeah, he wanted some hair, so there's no doubt about it. He kept
girls that are over
16,
puberty,
17, 18.
Right. He wasn't like, Hillary. She didn't care who was cooking on the fire pit. She'll eat any of, she'll take any of it and savor it, eat the baby leg, whatever. She was into all that shit.
Mm-hmm.
So there's just no. I think Bill, he's gonna probably say plenty of things that they like to know. I kind of feel like Howard Lutnick is in this kind of a spot. He's there for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
I think Howard Lutnick is there because he didn't really do a lot. Really, he did some things, but maybe he didn't do like the awful, like really bad stuff. Maybe.
Is he a witness too?
That's what I'm thinking. He may have. This guy Lutnick knows everything. I think that he knows.
I think he does no more than he's letting on. And I'll
Right. He
use
knows
that
a ton of
terminology.
stuff.
Ton of
Right.
stuff. Not because he went to the island, but because he lived next to him in Manhattan. Yeah. And I would say that goes far, much more bigger for large ass time than the island. The island could have been totally, cordoned off to certain people, and certain people couldn't have access to without, knowing full well what they were walking into. So I'm not defending Lutnick. I know there are many people who don't like Jews, don't like him, think he's Trump's handler. I don't believe that at all. I don't believe that at all. I don't think Trump has a handler. No, I think he is. I don't hate Lutnick. I don't like the fact that he was there. Should he be deposed like Clinton's? Yes, he should.
Sure.
I agree with that. He should not get a pass because he's part of the administration. You were at the island. That means everybody. Everybody. I'm not sitting here picking and choosing. He should. I don't know what he knows. I don't think anybody knows. Here comes from, and we know. And Bill Clinton says he knew nothing about Epstein crimes. Even when 2020 hindsight, I saw nothing. After years of 27 reported flights, three conclusions.
Explain to us specifically what you need to hear from President Clinton today. What do you want to know?
Well, I think everyone's seen there are a lot of photos that have been released by the Department of Justice as well as the Epstein estate. There are a lot of email correspondence that included President Clinton. We know President Clinton had, and Secretary Clinton confirmed this yesterday, Jeffrey Epstein was in the White House 17 times while Bill Clinton was president. We know that Bill Clinton flew on Jeffrey Epstein's plane at least 27 times.
He knew him.
So those are questions that we're going to ask. Everything that most media outlets have reported with respect to pictures and correspondence between Epstein.
That's the point. I think they're also showcasing that Hillary Clinton can't play coy. There's no way in anybody's belief system that she did not know of Epstein or Jeffrey in any matter, Jeffrey Epstein in any matter. I think in some way it's off the rails to suggest this in some way. And I think Bill Clinton will drop that. Will he throw her wife under the bus? I'm not really sure. But, she can't play coy in some way. The perjury trap is set. One Thunder, thank you for the cookie. Super D for the cookie. Trusty Turner for the cookie. Super D for another cookie. And another cookie. And another cookie. Thank you all for supporting the platform. Like, share, and subscribe. This is how you fill the tip jar. Keep the show alive. Like, share, and subscribe. Drop a skull pill. Comments, questions, concerns. It was said Bill enjoyed boys. I don't know if he did or not. I don't know what Bill enjoyed, Marshall. And you know what? I don't really care at this point. What I'm trying to find out is that what does this lead to? What is the truth we're getting about? I mean, if we're just getting to the fact that, there's does this open up the Wiener laptop? Does this get us to that point? That's what I want to know. Because I want to know what's in the insurance file. I want to know 9 fucking high-ranking police officers killed themselves. I want to know about that. I want to know about a whole lot more. All this stuff is subterfuge. It really is. It's just scratching the surface. It's actually what? Conditioning the normie NPC class and saying, what's going on with the Clintons? What are they involved in? Again, they're involved with another scandal? Yeah. And when they drop the video footage of her testimony and her being deposed, not going to be good. Not going to be good. And that was all about, I think, their cachet. Their cachet and their viability, their prestige, which is dropping. And anybody that is connected to them is going to dip out. I believe so. So we're moving on. Iran offers up uranium stocks. Trump wants zero enrichment. So U.S. President Donald Trump said Iran does not want to go far enough and that he wants zero uranium enrichment. Let me blow this up. This just came out rather recently. U.S. President Trump reporters is not happy with Iran, but more talks are expected to be held on Friday. Here we are. British said on Friday that is temporarily withdrawing its staff from Iran. So a lot of people are withdrawing. The embassy is being cleared out. As we were told this morning, they're preparing for a massive attack. But you know what? FBI vows to free Americans after Iran wrongful detention, whatever. I think the point is and stuff. I'm going to get into the discussion and the overlap of everything we're having. Marshall, your thoughts about this, because I'm really going to go into depth about this, because I think this is one of the most important things we're talking about for MAGA, America First, that could be dividing our group, our people, everything that's happening on X that is unfurling out. It's getting worse. It's getting virulent. People are not liking this in some way. And, as I said on Thomas's show on Tuesday night, I think we got to hold. Look at it as a stop, hold. How can you have a peace process, a peace unity group, okay, and then you're going to attack Iran and then level the country and then use the argument you're going to save the people in the process because of nuclear deterrence? And I'm going to get to that. But my argument about this is in some way, I think there's so much sabotage about the language, the linguistics, and how people parse the information out in so many ways. They're not really reading the tea leaves. They're not really looking at. I just want to know, do you really think President Trump is really ready? As J.D. Vance said, no protracted war in Iran. You think we're going to go there and just decimate this country in so many ways that the collateral damage will be so, out of control that how do we systematically show ourselves, face the public, his own followers, the media and everybody? Well, we did Israel a favor. We stopped the nuclear deterrent. I don't buy that at all. Your thoughts?
First of all, Israel's been saying this for 30 fucking years, if not 40, many years. This guy Netanyahu's been saying this shit forever, my whole life.
Garbage
and the other
scumbag.
Thing is,
not even a Jew.
Yeah,
garbage scumbag, not even a Jew.
Right. And the other thing, I think that what this is doing, because there's so much force down there right now. I mean, we've never had a force like this in an area for like 23 years or some shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that this is all putting the spotlight on Israel.
Mm-hmm.
And that the American people are going, wait a minute. Why are we down there for what do we whoa, wait a minute, hold on. Why are we down there? We're down there for what? What are we doing? What are we doing?
I always believed that the possibility was to, in some way, not protect Iran from an incoming nuclear attack from Israel, which I do believe was going to happen. I still think it is. But to a larger degree of protecting the region from imploding. That's my thought.
Yeah, well, I just think it's about people. This is part, and that's why Trump hasn't done anything yet. He's showing people, do you want to continue to do this with these people, meaning Israel? Do you want to send your kids down there for what? Or would you rather have your kids over here off Cuba, where Florida sits, and protect your own country? Or where do you want to be? Where do you want? And the Americans are going to wait. We want to be here. We should be on our.
The story that Colonel McGregor put out that there are actually many people. I'm not going to show it, but many. Let's just say there are many. He called them infiltrators or people that were trying to clog up or muck up the works by destroying the public utility toilet system inside on Gerald Ford.
Yes.
So they didn't go to Israel. Do you believe that narrative? And the question is, how did he get that observation? Where did he glean, or how did he deduce that information? How was he told that in some way? I don't know. I'm not standing by what he said, but there's a fervor or a contention that he is making. There's an argument that he's suggesting is that even our own military personnel, as he's pointed out, on the Gerald R. Ford that came from Venezuela that are now inside the Israeli harbor don't want to go to war for them in any capacity. And that's why they gummed up the works, mucked up the works of the laboratories inside.
The Navy guys.
Do you believe that? I mean, what do you think about that?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
The Navy guys know about the liberty.
Mm-hmm.
They know about it. There's no way that I guarantee you they know about it.
Okay.
And they know.
I'm not arguing that. If you're a Navy guy and you don't believe that,
from Norfolk, Virginia, which is the large. I knew a lot of Navy guys growing up. These people are not stupid people.
Mm-hmm.
They know what's going on, and they're like, we don't want to do this. We're not. Why are we here?
Right.
I want to be in the Gulf of America, protecting my country. I'm seeing them, the Israelis, these people, they're leaving Israel and going to Ukraine now.
Mm-hmm.
These people over there. What's up with that? I mean, anyway, we'll see how it all unfolds. But
so information liberation. No, we got it. I mean, this is a good germane discussion. This is very this is big. We're gonna have to expand upon it. Trump's senior advisors wanted to induce Iran to attack Americans to justify war. I've heard this 2 days ago. The supposition, the theoretical arguments out there make sense in some way. There's also a plausible deniability that we were there to prevent a regional war breaking out if Israel was going to tactically nuke Iran, which I believe was the true intention. But listening to this discussion as a justification to the theoretical and suppositional arguments, I will argue this. So I'm going to put this out here. Is this rather amazing article? 2 senior U.S. officials are saying the Trump-Epstein regime, as they're putting it, wants Israel to attack Iran first so that Iran retaliates against Israel and the U.S. and kills Americans, which will then be a good excuse for the U.S. to directly be involved, blah, 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 which basically to level Iran. Iran's got like 80 million people in the city. There is no way in hell, I believe in my heart of hearts, President Trump wants to tactically nuke and murder and kill under the guise of this theoretical supposition, this guesstimate in some way. There is no fucking way. He knows there is no way you can justify this in any prevailing way. Senior advisors to President Trump would prefer Israel strike Iran before the United States. I would say that it's not that they prefer, it's a likely happenstance that it could happen conditionally, not because they were deferred to do it. It's because they chose to do it outside the norms or bounds that they were instructed what to do. And I don't believe in some way they don't listen to America at all. They like to go half-cocked in some way. According to 2 people familiar with the ongoing discussion, the Trump administration officials are probably arguing that an Israeli attack would trigger Iran to retaliate, helping muster support for American. I couldn't agree more. The calculus is a political one. The more Americans would stomach a war with Iran if the United States or an ally were attacked first. Now, if Israel was attacked by Iran, and I will show you there's polling about it, I think less likely we'd want to support protecting Israel. But we were attacked by Iran on our ships, say Gerald R. Ford or another aircraft carrier was attacked, almost sunk. I think the level and measures of an ongoing assault on Tehran would be just problematic. And I would pray to God that would not happen, because the casualties, not just from the U.S., but from what would entail, you would have millions of deaths involved in Tehran. And I don't believe in any way the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, wants that at all. I don't think he does. He does not. He's actually pushing back against the regime for murdering its own citizens, hanging its own citizens, to belie, to believe into this trap. That means Trump's team is considering the optics of how to attack conducted in additional and other justifications, such as Iran's nuclear problem. No, it is not that. There is thinking in and around the administration the politics are a lot better off if Israel goes first. No, it's not. And I'm going to give you this. This is the coercive diplomacy versus the deterrence. This is the compellence. This is using threats or limited force to reverse and stop an adversary, in this case Iran, of a course of actions that are ongoing. This is what? Pressuring nuclear de-escalation and by the military buildup. The deterrence looks like, in some way, is protecting or a region from proxy attacks, the Houthis, Hezbollah. If this is not about preventing some surprise Iranian invasion or attack on the U.S., what is it for? Maximizing pressure to avoid future nuclear armed Iran crisis. The Gerald R. Ford presence and pressure is about preventing Iran from winning by delay or a breakout on nukes that they just came into fruition, and not stopping an active Iran war. This is all off the coast of Israel, and I believe the passive provocation or prevention versus the active is what is compelling us to see this as a stay, a deferral. I don't believe in some way that our president at all, I cannot believe in my heart of hearts in any way he wants to in some way inflict innocent Iranian civilians who are walking away from he knows once the regime is deposed and there is a new regime in that is favorable to the actual people of Iran, a new country, a new bond can be formed with oversight. And I do believe that's possible without deep state or deep state ally protection. Marshall, your thoughts? I just think in some way to suggest that he's going to murder as many people. I mean, there's no way you're going to launch into Tehran unless the area has been and kill tens of millions of people. I'm not selling that, and I'm not buying it either.
Trump has always been very complimentary of the Persian people. They're very smart people. They are not like the regular, like cave dwellers or some shit that people think of, like Afghani or whatever. He has been very favorable to them. I see more and more sentiment online over the last number of days since all this shit started is that people would rather see Israel just just move somewhere else. People are realizing that they were just created back in 1917 by the Rothschilds. People are finding this stuff out, and they're like, "Damn, these guys never were really even there." And it would be so easy.
Let me approach an argument that this is also about the oil supply, about the Ukraine war to Russia and China. And will it end the war in some way? Will it end the war in some way if we're able to interdict in Iran? Will this help end the Ukraine war? Because Iran sends them oil to both countries. And if we blockade this and we stop this, what is this showing? This is showing a strength, a force. We've never seen this amount of, let's just say, arsenal of military, naval military in one region alone. And we're not worried about any other country in the region. We're worried about the proxies that may come from certain sketchy companies like Lebanon. But I would also argue that this might be also a conditional prefix to protect Iran from the fallout of a nation that will be in decline if they don't go forward with the actual talks and the strategies, because the revolution might happen outside the leaders or whoever is in control. And I don't believe any of these people that we speak of, Ayatollahs, the Khomeinis, I don't know who's really in control. Does the Trump administration knows who fully is in control or not? I think they know who is not in control. I think that's more a plausible outcome, and that's what I'm suggesting here.
Yeah, I think that really the feeling among the people around the world that I have been seeing all over is that they're tired of Israel. They're tired of this same scenario that's been repeating itself for 30 or 40 years.
Right.
And it's just like it's getting old.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's like, why are we doing this again and again and again? And it's just like it's got to stop. got to stop. People have had enough of it.
There is nothing. I understand the Iranian regime funded terrorism, Houthis and proxies and all this stuff, what they did to us in Iraq. They bombed our embassy. Yeah, the regime, the deep state element, it's got to go. But I'm not leveling tactical nukes to murder innocent civilians that want to just have a better life from the Iranian regime. I'm not for it. And if you call me something outside of that, then you can fuck off and die. Get bent and die. If you want that type of war to kill innocent civilians, then, don't call me a crazy batshit kook who's defending a black pill argument. You're a murderer. You're a sadist. There are people trying to escape and flee this. I understand the level, the separation of this. That's why the show of force is there. The compellence, using these threats versus diplomacy and deterrence. These things are set up in some way not to protect Iran, but maybe even to proffer a thought that Israel doesn't, or protect the region from Israel, because Israel might decide they want to go batshit crazy. Oh, you're anti-Semite. Yeah, I'm okay. I am. You know why? Because you created laws against me to make any comment that I say to be anti-Semite. So until you remove those laws, which you will not do in the state of Florida, then I will continue to say I'm an anti-Semite because you created laws for me not to speak against it. And you can fuck right off and die. Let's play this. I got to roll.
From being about 90% of having the rich uranium.
Here's your bagel laws.
We are being pushed into war by Benjamin Netanyahu. Let's just be honest about
Your
what this
bagel
is.
laws.
It's not about Iran's
Oh,
weapons.
wait a minute.
It's about
These
Israel's
people that talk about
ambitions.
Israel
He's been
and
saying
the
the same
Jews
thing
and
for
stuff.
years,
There's
Tucker, trying to bait
38
us into
states
this.
that
Only the
have
United
bagel
States
laws.
can lead this vital
And I'm
international
crazy?
effort
And I'm a kook?
to stop the nuclearization of terrorist states.
Where's the Christian
But the
laws to
deadline for
prevent
attaining
us
this goal
from being
is getting
attacked?
extremely close.
Fuck you.
Iran,
You're a
by the way,
hypocrite.
is also outpacing Iraq in the development of ballistic missile systems. Very close. They're 6 months away from being about 90% of having
6 months. They're 6 months away from eating my ass. Every fucking day, they're 6 months away.
Nuclear bomb in short
Nuclear bomb. They're always away. Years ago. Where is the nuclear missiles? Where is the nuclear bomb? The only country that has it is Israel. That's the only country that has it. He gave it to them. They're the only state actors that possess a nuclear weapon. And they're going to use it against Iran.
May not have a choice, actually, because Israel has said, if you don't join us, we're going to do it anyway. Move unilaterally, possibly with nuclear weapons, which they have. And they've threatened that before. If you don't backstop us, if you don't defend us, help us, send us armaments, send your aircraft carriers to the region, give us missile defense, we'll have no choice but to use nukes against our enemies. And nobody wants that because it could set off
the Samson effect.
War,
look it up.
A nuclear third world war. But I would just say there is another option that no one in Washington ever seems to consider, which is constraining our client state and saying, look, for our sake, and by the way, also for yours, no. If you allow people who are dependent on you to treat you like this, it doesn't end well. If you allow your children to scream the F word in your face at dinner, it's bad for you, but it's also bad for them because they're out of control. You are not living up to your role as a parent, as a guardian, as the person in charge, as the guy paying for all this.
And I do believe that what Tucker is saying there, and I think that's a very astute conversation that we're having right now, is very astute. I think he's very alert of that we're in the region to protect it going from really, let's just say, out of bounds, out of control, because we know in some way that Israel, the only nuclear armed territory in the region, would use its viability to lay down so much destructive pain, and they don't mind killing innocent civilians. They don't care, and they will do it. They will do it because they're just the most evil scum on the planet. And you know what? Again, if you're saying and you're viewing this channel and you're coming in and saying, well, you're part of the Fuentes group or all these people that are anti-Israel in some way. I'm not anti-Jew. I'm anti-idea that your laws only go one way. What about being anti-Christian? What about doing X, Y, and Z? Why is it that your state gets a pass and then anything that I do and say or my country doesn't? But you can do whatever you want. It's not going to happen. It's not going to fly. And I do believe this is the showdown of nuclear war. We are about to see World War III happen right before our eyes, as peace might be given a chance in this region and also could surrender peace in other corridors like Ukraine and stuff like that. Israel will do what it does. They will hit Iran with a tactical nuke and set everything ablaze, and everything will be up in smoke, and all hell will break loose. And the only thing we can do is what? Sit back and watch our supposed friends, allies, maybe even adversaries level the state of Israel. And I'll be smoking my cigar, drinking high-end scotch, watching the destruction of that state burn like Sodom and Gomorrah. And I'm serious. I'm deadly serious. Marshall, your thoughts?
Yeah, and when I tell you what, when you talk about the Samson effect and all that, this brings up Trump's golden dome for the United States of America.
Yeah.
That was a big F.
Can you elaborate a little bit, please?
Yeah, that was a big FU to Benjamin Netanyahu, meaning we have our own protection now, motherfuckers.
Right.
You want to shoot your shit and try and go here? Probably shit that we supplied them with. Well, guess what? We have our own golden dome.
Or money that we supplied them with.
Better than anything you'll ever have. And the other statement I want to make is the world, Brett, everybody knows it now. The world is sick and tired of pampering the baby called Israel. We're sick of them. We're sick and tired.
Well, the diaper rash,
your pants on.
There's no powder you can put on the diaper rash. It's not gonna stop.
Sick of it, man. People are sick of it, man.
It's not that they hate Jews.
They're not
They
even
hate
Jews,
the state. They hate the state of Israel. They hate the conduct of their governance and how they use their military assets, their actual intelligence, all these other things they employ to what? Surrender and attack our country. I mean, if you can't see that, if you can't recognize that, it's not like I wake up one day and I'm like, yeah, I just want to fucking throw some napalm on a Hasidic Jew, light him on fire, video recorded, and dance around him singing the Jew song. No, I don't wake up every day thinking that way. I don't want to do that because I don't believe in murder. I don't believe in killing people for the sake of killing people. I believe it on other levels. However, what I'm saying is there are many people who are just so tired of the disaffection here. You recognize the problem, and you're told that the problem is you're an anti-Semite, but it's okay to attack my Christianity, my Catholicism, or anything like that because it happens to what? Show your disclosure of your information as particular it is and problematic. But I have to surrender to you. Why do I have to surrender to you? In fact, I don't even recognize my Catholicism anymore. So since I don't do it, I don't recognize your Judaism, whatever fucking Talmud shit it is. You know what? I don't. If you want to practice your demonology, go have fun. But don't fucking set up shop in my background and tell me I can't say this, I can't say that. Because you know what? That's when the baseball bats come out. That's when the pushback comes out. That's why you set up the anti-Semite laws. But when we eventually ascertain and control the system where we will set up Christian laws to protect Catholics, Protestants, everything that is non-Jewish, you will cease to exist. You will cease to exist. Your very existence will mean nothing. And you won't have to worry about Christians. You won't have to worry about the Muslims that are living in this country that will give you carte blanche to eat you alive. And then you will flee. Serious groper shit. Pro-Israel conservative riots after J.D. Vance praises Tucker Carlson's interview with Mike Huckabee. Look, I think it was fantastic. Absolute disaster, they're saying here. Vice President J.D. Vance has watched the clips of Tucker Huckabee. Look, A lot of people saying Tucker, excuse me, they're saying the vice president is so more scarier and impactful and provincially, let's just say, domineering and problematic against Israel. I wonder if that was set up in some way. But yet the Groypers in some way don't like him because he's a Palantir construction. You got Laura Lumarana. Trump, through all the hard times, declared Lumarana another far-right commentator activist. I'm very disappointed to see Tucker Carlson continue to divide. She sits in the Pentagon as a press pool. You're not going to argue that there's not some type of problem there and her affiliation. She says she's not Israeli. She's not whatever. Okay. She's not dual passport. I believe she's not. But she's there. No, it wasn't. During the interview, Tucker Carlson disrespected President Trump multiple times, suggesting he's controlled by Netanyahu, and he attacked Governor Mike Huckabee. It was fantastic. J.D. Vance pushed back. He says he watched the clips. He was like, look, yeah, I'm not sure about Jews should be DNA tested. It was really necessary conversation. Quip, should Jews be in some way DNA tested? Why is it that the whole state of Israel is not DNA tested about who they are? He's laying out an inference and understand, oh my God, there's some serious Groyper shit submitted Northeastern. It's not Groyper shit. There are many people that are not Groypers like myself who wonder why so many different, let's just say 23andMe and all these things that were created don't apply to them. Why doesn't it apply to them? Why isn't DNA testing applied to the state of Israelis? There's some Groyper shit here. No, J.D. Vance was laughing about it. He's chosen a side and it's wrong one. Oh my God. See, they fear J.D. Vance, at least the state of Israel and Jews. And that's why behind the scenes, all the people that are being paid from Israel are going and attacking him in some way. So he is not the lead candidate to be the I think there are other issues there, but I think this is the prevailing argument by a largest group that wants to take down J.D. Vance, not just because of the Palantir information, is because they feel that he's an anti-Semite, and that's what's coming. Tucker, I mean, look, if that comes out in some way, and that's what he'll win an election easily, because there are more people that will settle with him than not settle with him over the fact. But yeah, Marco Rubio's numbers are rising. Marco Rubio's going to be the governor of Cuba very soon. I believe so. And we'll get to that. So what did I miss? Asked ubiquitous pro-Israeli activist Irel Jacobi. Tucker literally called the Jews to forcibly receive DNA tests. Why isn't that? Why can't you get a DNA test? What's the problem? That J.D. Vance is officially not playing coy, blah, blah, blah. Look, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think the problem is that there's levels of people, Marshall, that don't like Vance because of Palantir. And they're pushing Marco Rubio. They're a lot of people thinking it's going to be these two in general. Well, Marco Rubio, I think he's going to be in his own place. I don't think Marco Rubio was set up to be. If Marco Rubio was going to be the vice president, he would have been the vice president. He was positioned to be in this for a certain reason, not to be the vice president. And you need to ask yourself why that is and how contingently necessary it was at the moment. J.D. Vance was selectively put there for a very different reason. To be the odd man out. To be to what? To be the deference of President Trump. And he totally is. Yes, the Palantir stuff, all the stuff, senator, blah, blah, blah. But there is some whatever that he's like loving what Tucker's saying. He is bringing this on. He's inviting this stream. He's seeing that. He's showing. He's dividing the black pillars as we speak because many black pillars don't like him. But yet he's using the same argument that the black pillars use against them about Israel. Do you see where I'm going with this? Do you see how I'm stringing this along? They use the Israel entanglement as problematic, but simultaneously he's saying to Tucker, no, we should. That's a great point. You see how he's throwing it back in their face and playing badminton? Is it badminton?
Yeah, well, Vance is there to be able to say the things that the President Trump cannot say.
Right.
So he's
Absolutely.
he's telling everything that Trump's thinking.
Mhm.
There's no way that Vance said all this shit and did all this shit.
No way. Without
talking
without his approval.
Right, exactly. The other
You're
one is
exactly right. Without his approval.
the
Think
other
about
thing,
that.
The other thing I thought of the other day, a few days ago, and
Mm-hmm.
I've been putting this out to the OMGs and the O'Keefes and all these people online, that it would be very, very simple for an investigative reporter like Nick Shirley or OMG or whoever to just take a flight to Israel and collect DNA samples all over the place.
Right.
Go to a barber shop.
How many would you need?
Go to a bar.
How many? What is the
collect
number that
samples
you
all
would
day
collect from a
long.
scientific data experiment? 1,000?
You could. The thing is, you could get DNA samples without anybody knowing it so easily.
Exactly.
Restaurants, bars.
But don't you need their sampling to
You
prove
can walk
that?
through the streets of Israel, let them spit on you for being a Christian.
Well,
and
that's
go
a good
to-
idea. Catch the spit in a
Yeah,
jar,
and just
or
swab it and
catch
put
a
it in a
spit on
fucking-
your chest from these bagels that
Exactly.
want to spit on you because you wear an American flag or you're Christian, you wear a cross.
You take a Q-tip and you swab whatever they're touching or
Excellent
whatever they're
point.
eating. And you can just collect that shit all day long, and they will show that these people are not Hebrew.
Right.
The Palestinians are the true, actually, Semites. They have the blood. They have the DNA. So that's what I think. Somebody should do that, man.
I
Go
mean,
over
it
there
would
and
be
collect the DNA.
fantastic. I don't think we're going to get there. I think we'll find out
It would be easy.
later on when Israel decides to, and I do believe Israel will strike first and show their hand, because President Trump wants peace. He'll have a deal in place, and Israel will tactically nuke them, and it's game over. Game over. Game over
And
for
it'll
the
be
state
on
of
Israel.
If you were living in Israel and Israel tactically nukes Iran, kills a bunch of people, my advice, you better get the fuck out. And I'm going to tell you right now, if you're an Israeli citizen living in America, get the fuck out. If you're Jews that support Israel, you better hide in the corner. Good luck. Because if the blowback is America or American ships or American proxies or America in general, you will reap and you will sow the holy hell that will be given back onto you. You'll pay a huge, there'll be no place you will go. You'll be set, you will be burned alive. People will come out and just fucking kill you. Because if you are in some way allowed to have this, the blowback and how far it was spread, and there'll be people calling out for every Israeli or Jew to be murdered or killed in America if they did that. There will be. And there will be people that are not just fence sitters, not just middle of the ground black pillars. There'll be leftists, there'll be conservatives, there'll be people pushing back and saying, my God, they just murdered a shit ton of people and it cannot be tolerated. And I think that's when the level of angst, and I'm going to show you this, Israelis no longer ahead of Americans. It's not me. It's not me. And I'm saying it's not me. It's not me at all. Okay? I'm just showing you. Look at what I'm saying. It's not me. This is not like an Israeli thing. Whatever. I'm just showing you, and I'm presenting you points of view. 41% of Americans now say they sympathize more with the Palestinians in a Middle East situation, while 36% sympathize with more Israelis. The 5 percentage point difference is not statistically significant, but it contrasts with a clear lead for Israelis only a year ago, 46% versus 33%, and a larger leads over 24 years. From 2001 to 2025, Israelis consistently held double-digit leads in America, Middle East sympathies, with a gap averaging 43 points between 2001 and 2018. However, public opinion began narrowing in 2018, several years before October 7th of 2023. Hamas attacks on Israel and the subsequent war with Gaza, the cumulative effect of a gradual change in U.S. attitude since this has led to Israelis no longer being viewed more sympathetic. Wow. Look at these numbers. Look at that. Look at the time frame. 2018. Look at the numbers. And here we are. As is typical for this trend, a large segment of Americans express no partiality toward the two sides in the Middle East. I would say I'm one of those people, although I don't like the murdering and killing of innocent people on any side. So I'd argue is that their recent attacks and upgraded attacks of just wanting to target women and children really bother me. The Middle East conflict, 4% say they sympathize with both, equally 9%, but neither with 10%. Since Gallup's poll, updating this measure in February 2025, a U.S. brokered ceasefire took effect in October 10th of last year. The phase of this ceasefire contingent upon the release of Israeli hostages held in Gaza in exchange for Palestinian detainees in Israel was completed in January. The second phase is now focused on reconstruction, demilitarization in Gaza, though both sides have accused each other of repeated breaches of truth. In terms of Americans' separate favorable rating of the two countries, the latest poll also finds that 37% viewing the Palestinian territories favorably, although still trailing Israel. 46% to 57% of Americans favor an independent Palestine state, nearly matches the reading from 2003 as the highest Gallup polls. I'm going to move on. Independents sympathize with Middle East situation, which is massive. You could see that now. Look at the numbers. Look at the time frame. Has it dropped down? Yes, it has dropped down. You could see it right now. It's dropped down to 30 from 41. Democrats' sympathies haven't changed significantly over past year, having already flipped, shortly toward the Palestinians in 2025. Look at the numbers. It's dropped down to 17%. Republicans continue to express a greater sympathy for Israelis than the Palestinians. That's why Republicans like Dan Bongino are attacking anybody and calling us all out for being insane and black pillars, because we have a voice. If we agree with something that he does not like, we're a monster. We're an anathema. And you know what? Fuck him and die. The guy's a piece of shit. I would say in some way, that guy in some way was fired from the administration for a variety of reasons. And whatever that he retreated in a corner to what he is now, what bothers me the most is that he gets to set the stage to tell us how to feel about subject matter, whether you like Candace Owens or not, whether you believe in free speech or not, whether you push back about the anti-Israeli, anti-Semitic arguments in 38 states. Who the fuck is he to tell us? And then call us crazy to what? Make sure that he can distinguish that his ideology and belief system is because he was in the know. And since you don't know anything, you are left to be what? Cast aside. I find that ignorant. I find that intolerant. I find that hyperbolic. I find that disgraceful. Because you signed an NDA and you dipped out. You decided to dip out, or you were let go, and now you're telling us how to feel, how to react, how to recoil about this. You can go fuck right off. And I don't care about Candace Owens. All right. I don't care what she's putting out there. I believe what I believe, and I don't have to listen to him or her tell me what I should believe or not, and neither should you. Because on this platform, we don't tell you how to effect or affect. The question will be up to you to determine how you view everything that is presented to you and how you distinguish and discern or mitigate the situation around you. It is not about me or you. It's about finding what you think may be the truth in the end. All right. The shift toward sympathy with Palestinians seen across all the boards. Americans of all age groups have grown more sympathetic to the Palestinians in recent years. 18 to 34, 53% say they sympathize with the Palestinians, marking the first time a majority of this group has expressed this view. I think overall, many people, whether you want to believe it or not, it's not that I don't want to be protecting Palestinians, especially when a lot of them are terrorists. But what's a terrorist? A freedom fighter or a terrorist? Are they defending their land, their country? I don't know. Why are we choosing and picking a winner here, Marshall? I find it in some way insufferable that we're just murdering innocents and children, and it's okay that they use that platform to continue on with that mantra. I do believe that Gerald R. Ford is out near Haifa in the harbor or the sea where Israel lies to prevent some type of escalation that could be de-escalated before it starts. And my question is to you and you in the audience, if a deal is reached with Iran, will Israel back out of it and attack them?
It wouldn't surprise me if they did. And I think that the whole reason that we are there, especially where you just mentioned right off the coast of Israel, is that this is more about Israel in the spotlight than it is Iran. Iran is going to work itself out. It's going to come around.
Right.
The other Arab states or countries in that region, they're like, we're not going to let you land your flight craft, your military craft on our land. We don't want this. That to me says these guys know more about all of this shit than any of us. And it really signifies that people are sick and tired of this whole belly aching from Israel and then constantly starting wars with their neighbors. That's
yeah.
all
I mean,
they've
look,
done.
I'm not arguing in some way that they have a right to defend themselves, but the point is and stuff.
Well,
if they're ready to capitulate and surrender, which we're seeing in stuff, and if they do anything antagonist or antagonist in some way that could ratchet this up, then it's on them. It's on them. We'll get to a couple things and we'll dip out. Thank you, Thea, for the can. One Thunder for the cookie. Super D for the cookie. Thank you so much. Like, share, and subscribe. The tip jar is open. You can help us out here. buymeacoffee.com/wearerise. If you like any of the comments, any discussions, leave us commentary. Leave us thoughts. Help us out on Rumble. How about marshallkofi.com/surfdog74? I saw this. I was going to cover this on Wednesday. And like I said, I apologize. I wasn't here. This caught me by surprise. Elon Musk exposes spyware installed on DHS devices by rogue staffers. I would argue that DHS was created under the illusion of Israeli promissory notes. And I'll leave it at that. Performing my role as Secretary of Homeland Security has shown me just how real and dangerous the deep state really is. This is, wow.
I can't believe what I found since I've been in this department. I just found the other day a whole room on this campus that was a secret SCIF secure facility
but after
that had
I
files
saw
nobody
this,
knew existed.
Wow.
So we just happened to have an employee walk by a door and wonder what it was and started asking questions. We went in there. There was individuals working there that had secret files that nobody knew about on some of these most controversial topics like that. And now I've got that turned over to attorneys and we're getting to the bottom of what exactly happened there. We have CBP, which is customs.
The DHS is wholly compromised. Think about it.
Yeah,
it was brought into position in 2003. All right. And the lead architect and many other people were Jewish, let's just say, pro-Israeli people. Michael Chertoff, who was the second Homeland Secretary. All right. He was part of writing the provisions in place. And remember, where did it come from? The concept of Israel. And the idea that this Homeland Secretary or Homeland base can jointly being proactively pulled together to make sure that they have operational control, when now we know they don't have operational, they have levels of operational control outside of this. Okay. And I think you need to splinter this. And when I found out how bad this is, think about how long we've been dealing with how much control of, let's just say, a deep state, a dark entity has been involved, accessing people that were there and involved there. And think about, they were there to replace Secret Service agents during President Trump's first assassination attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania. Remember the ponytail broads that were there and that were set up? Listen to this. Makes me sick.
Border protection. They know every traveler that comes into this country, every good that comes in. They're the ones who assess and collect all of the tariffs. But the information that they had on travelers that came in during COVID, what our national labs, which I also have national labs under my jurisdiction, they're scientists that participated with that Wuhan lab, how they were traveling back and forth between each other and working on those experiments. It's been eye-opening. And I'll tell you, Patrick, even from the time I came into this office, it was, Elon and his team were extremely helpful to me. They helped me identify that some of my own employees in my department had downloaded software on my phone and my laptop to spy on me.
Stop it.
To record our meetings.
Wow.
They had done that to several of the politicals.
Wow.
And so we ended up bringing in people, and that was something that if you didn't have those tech.
I guess that kicked out. Did you hear the rest of that?
Sound is off.
I can't believe what I found since I've elected. We were just behind and not up to the standard we should be at. I remember the first 4 months, I couldn't even send a PowerPoint over email from the Department of Homeland Security servers that was longer than 6 pages long. So the backwards thinking of protecting our country was extremely detrimental to keeping us safe. And many times the deep state, I think what I tell people most of the time is, I always believed when people talked about the deep state before that it existed. I never would have dreamed that it was as bad as it is.
Well, I give her a pass after recovering that, and after how
pull your mic.
Go ahead.
Pull your mic up.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I know my mic is off. Hold on.
Yeah,
hold on.
the DHS. Was
no, go ahead.
created.
I'm sorry. I had a problem with the.
No,
I was fixing a lot of stuff because the mic went
DHS was created in the TSA.
Yeah.
They were all created under this whole auspice.
2003.
After 9/11.
Mm-hmm.
They were that was really, and this is how they fed into it. They didn't stop at 9/11.
Right.
They're like, oh, once 9/11's done, then we can go full bore into their government.
Mm-hmm.
And we can start really controlling the homeland, their homeland. This shit needs to go away. DHS should really be gone.
Well, I don't know if it's going to be splintered. It's going to, they would have to be deconstructed and separated. I've always felt that the Secret Service should not be on the Department of Homeland Security. It should be its own private entity at the behest of the president or the office of the presidency and its own entire military garb. True Terran, what's up? Thank you for the $50 Rumble rant. Thank you, my friend. Always there. Agreed, Brett. Remember, we're severing Israel for less. Yeah. I don't wake up every day, True Terran, and say, you know what? I want to see Jews burn. I want to light a Hasidic Jew on fire. I want to kill these people. I don't think that at all. What I do find offensive in some ways that which is hypocritical and opportunistic, that inner characterization that I say that may lay claim to waste them out for what they have said or done in some way, that I'm accused automatically an anti-Semite and I should be prosecuted for that. I find that the most egregious article of our free speech. The fact that they get to what? Be higher up of the criticization and the characterization of who and what they are at every level is why people hate them. And thus, the more they continue on, the more this is going to be. And you know what? I'm only saying for the available time. And I hope it doesn't happen because I don't want to see innocent Iranians murdered. Iranian citizens that had nothing to do with the proxy wars, the Houthis, what they did with the bombing, all this stuff. They have a very young millennial Gen Z population there. I don't want to see these people murdered. They're more Western than you think. And if they did something to upset this apple cart in some way, I don't think these people will have a quarter to hide. Especially when President Trump, is trying to draw a surrender, a peace that we didn't get in Obama's time frame with the IAEA. They sent pallets of cash over. They're like, yeah, we'll hold this back in some way. Look, we're defining new terms here. We're making it so that the show of force, I've said, this compellence, this coercive diplomacy, okay, is not equal to deterrence. What it is a stratagem to make sure that any opportunity on their part to open their floodgates to hit Israel or even us in the sea, they will be leveled. They're giving a quarter. They're being given a pass. Whatever that pass is, I don't know. The question is, who really backs Iran? You know, we never got to the idea that who really backed North Korea. We know there's always an entrenched deep state apparatus, CIA undertows or what have you. But we never get to who these people are in any way, Marshall. And so what's bothersome to me is in some way, it might not even be these people wanting to do this and stuff, that they're put up and they're propped up to do this because there's so much money and stuff that they're entwined with and betwixt with. They can't walk away. They cannot walk away. They can't get away from it. And so what is President trying to do? What is he trying to showcase? Get the IEE in there, get people in there to look at this, negotiate this. Is that what it's really about? Or are we setting up a straw man for an eventual attack that will have to basically, I think we're about to see World War III. I really do. And I don't believe we're going to hit Iran. I just don't. Not at first or not later. I think that if you believe in President Trump, if you believe in the peace plan, this peace accord, he's setting up a new UN. How can a guy that you want to claim is so duplicitous ask countries like Russia or China to put up $1 billion, Turkey, to want to be what? A new UN. A new unilateral structure that will ultimately overtake whatever the UN is or is not. And the UN will go away like the League of Nations. And it will bifurcate all this. How can you set this up and honor this as a goal and use that as a peace accord by bombing and killing Iranian citizens? You can't. You can't. You can't. It's not going to sell. It's just, I don't know how you could sell me on, because it's not going to sell to the American people, if that's the truth, Marshall.
The deal with Israel, to me, reminds me of the old story called Animal Farm. Everybody gets treated the same, but some get treated better than others.
Mm-hmm.
We are the white Christians. We're not treated as special as, as the other people.
Right.
So they get treated this way, but the others, like the white Christians or Christians in general, they get treated, slightly different. That's all this is. And these people think they're special. There is no God's chosen people. I have never heard anywhere in the Bible where it says that, what God's going to just choose a group of people and they're like special and they're better than anybody else.
Yeah, well, God choose humans over angels, and look how that happened. And they've been at war for eternity. They've been at war for eternity. That's why we've been dealing with this problem, whether the fallen angels in general, because God chose America. Human beings as his people, and the legion of people that have separated and whatever. That's why we're dealing this spiritual battle. Yeah, you don't think so? That's fine. Thank you, Thea, for the can. Trump urged to declare a national emergency to take power over midterm elections. I got to get to that, and they're going to fast track Cuba. Attorneys close to Donald Trump are urging President Trump to declare a national emergency to allow him to take sweeping powers over crucial midterm elections. I think it's coming. Question is, what are these presidential action powers? We're about to see it. President has rallied against rigged elections and still refuses to concede the 2020 race to Joe Biden. Yeah, because it was stolen. We're all going to find out. Peter Tickton has known Trump, and since they attended New York Military Academy, has represented him in court, is part of the group of pro-Trump lawyers. He and his allies argue a 17-page draft of a presidential executive order that supposed China interfere with the 2020 election. And if that is true, you go back to September 12th of 2018 with Executive Order 13848 and see how that applies. Look out. There is now a clear and compelling evidence from the court cases, the forensic analysis, that these threats have not been mitigated, but instead have intensified, the court reads. Now, on April 1st, we're going to hear the Supreme Court's ruling on the 14th Amendment, Section 3, 14th Amendment, Section 3.3. And I think we're going to go through the whole parameters of everything about that, about being what an American is, where an American is born, how an American is processed as an American. So if you're not natural or native born, that you're not American. We're going to find this out. It's a good thing. Here's the other thing that's going to happen from the Supreme Court. However, no such evidence exists. Well, that's you can tell. They're not going to reveal their information. As 2020 review by multiple intelligence agencies claim, China considered interfering in the election, but did not go through with it. The proposed order would go even further than the SAVE Act without having to go through Congress. Interesting. Trump would effectively mandate voter ID nationwide, ban vote by mail, and mandate ballots by hand. It's the only way. I don't see any other way. All right, because I've always proffered the position, Marshall, and you're my witness, that I don't think we're going to have a 2026 midterm election. And you know what? At this point, I'm not even arguing the impact or not, because I'm not blackpilling people not to vote if there is. Do not tell people not to vote if there is. But the possibility and how it portends of what I see with the chaos and how everything will uptick based upon it and how he's going to put this out, it might be problematic where they might try to shut it down based on President Trump's proclamations here, Marshals. What say you? Thank you, Thea, for the can.
And if that were to happen, then that would really kind of lead to me. It would lead into him continuing on another term.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it's gonna go there, then it's over.
Well, I'm talking 2026, but yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I'm saying it's gonna lead into that.
Right. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, okay.
It gives a little bit of power, or I don't know which other word, some kind of relevance to that actually going. Look, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be. It's probably going to be very chaotic because we've already got a mess. He's trying to net federalize it. I get it. Makes sense.
Okay. We're running late. I got more to go. And since I didn't do a show, bear with me. I mean, we got more to go. But let's play this because I got to get to CNN. CNN, ladies and gentlemen, is about to be disembarked. It's going to be dismembered. Think about Michael Myers or Jason. They're going to cut CNN up in pieces and lay it out for everybody to see. CNN braces for Ellison's control. Now that Netflix is bailed out, we'll get to that. CNN staffers fear for the future. The panic at CNN is real. Let's listen to this.
Right after this deal happened,
I'm going to play all of them.
Started lighting up. I got
a
bunch of text messages just kind of about once. People saying things like, "We are doomed." The panic is off the charts. They know that David Ellison is a Trump ally. He has already sought to revamp CBS to be more MAGA friendly. And they know that Donald Trump delivered this deal to him explicitly because he will change the way the network works.
Wow. I'm not going to play all of it. I'm running out of time, but that's an interesting thing. So I will pull up Deadline.
They're scared.
They're very scared because I believe Jake Tapper went on air and told his supporters that they're going to be pulled. They're going to all be fired. And think about it. Everybody on CNN is going to be fired and replaced. And I don't know what CNN is going to envelop in or broken down, deconstructed. Thank you, Wood USA, for the 717 gold pills. Need more gold pill love. Thank you for the support. One Thunder for the cookie. Thea for the can. One Thunder for the cookie. Super D for the cookie. Like, share, and subscribe. Tip jar is open. If you want to help out Marshall, you can help him out. Ko-fi.com/surfdog74. And again, thank you, True Terran. That's all, folks. Netflix walks away from the Warner Brothers refusing to raise offer. This is a big thing. Netflix is thrown in the towel and won't be raising its offer. Think about the media mass that's going to be in control by Paramount. And the question is it going to be friendly? Is it going to be, let's just say, not politically diverse? Is it not going to be CIA course corrected? What is going to happen? The move comes 2 hours after Warner Bros. Discovery said it's determined that the latest offer it received from Paramount was superior to the $82.7 billion it signed to Netflix. Netflix still had 4 business days to match Paramount's offers, but decided, why wait? Wow. They decided to bail. CEOs Ted Sarandos and Greg Peters regretfully took the company out of the running, saying, we've always been disciplined, and yet the price required to match Paramount's Skydance latest offer. The deal is no longer financially attractive. I have to believe right now something is amiss here. Something is afoot. I think this deal was threatened, and they were forced, Netflix, to resign their viability, their potentiality to create this deal. I believe so. And does this save Hollywood? Does this save other things? Yes, it does. Netflix investors are relieved, no regrets. Stocks up 10%. The drama began 6 months ago. He began making rapid fires offers, all rejected. WB, the transaction is always nice to have at the right price, not a must have at any price. Okay, listen to this. The transaction we negotiated would have created a shareholder value with clear path to regulatory approval. I'm not sure about that. However, we've always been disciplined at the price required to match Paramount Skydance's latest offer. The deal is no longer financially attractive, so we're declining to match that offer. Okay. I'll just leave it at this. I'm not really sure what is taking place. I have like 5 other articles of it, but I think we have so much more to move on. What is your overall assessment? Do you think Netflix was forced to withdraw their position from buying Warner Brothers Discovery and making sure that any fallout from that would not blow back onto them?
Yes, I think they were. And Ellison, isn't he Jewish? Ellison?
Yeah, I mean, he left. All right. So let me set up. Not only is that, he's middle of the road guy. He doesn't have a party line. He's friends with Trump. He left Hawaii. He bought this whole area of Hawaii that's worth $1.2 billion, and now he's settling in Mar-a-Lago. I mean, excuse me, not Mar-a-Lago. He's settling in Palm Beach Island. So you got a whole line, a 2-mile strip of rows of billionaires. I should have never left Palm Beach. Every day I fucking wake up. Why don't we leave Palm Beach? My guy could have had a home for fucking $5 million and sold it. But my point is, everybody's nestling around there. So whatever Ellison is doing, he's about to pull CNN. Now, if CNN collapses and is pulled off the air, I don't think they're going to reopen. I think they're just going to be gone. If you really think about it, it might be a good thing. If you weed out the chaff, because you got MSN and MSNBC and the CNBC, it would show that the daggers are coming for you. So I don't know in some way how we're...
my original point about Ellison being a Jewish person, is that there's a dividing line.
He's not Israel first, and he's also
that's what I'm trying to. Let me finish.
Okay.
Is that there are certain Jews that are either Stephen Miller, everything bagel Jews, and there's Jews that are not that.
Right.
And that's all there is.
You mean Israel first?
Well, yes. Yeah, Israel first Jews, and then there's America first Jews.
Right.
And he's like a Stephen Miller guy.
Yeah.
He's like, or maybe in this Barry Weiss chick that took over CBS, because they're having a problem over there. The liberals,
they're having a huge problem.
The liberals don't like her.
Right.
So let's play games.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go.
All right. So I got to get to Cuba. I mean, let's face it. Annexing Cuba. True Terror dropping $17 rumor ad for your overtime. Man, wait till you hear my overtime. President Trump just revealed the greatest Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, is dealing with Cuba. There could be a friendly takeover. Let me repeat, a friendly takeover. What does that look like? What does that mean? We're about to break it down. Marco has been waiting for this moment. Is he the next governor of Cuba? I mean, he's got 4 jobs now. He's Secretary of State. What is going to happen? Marco Rubio is dealing with at a very high level. There's no money, no oil, no food. Right now, the nation is about to crumble. It's about to crater. So we come in. How do we come in? What do we do? Listen to President Trump. This is extraordinary. In the last, 60, 70 years of your lifetime, think about Cuban, all the stuff, Kennedy, all the stuff, Cuban Missile Crisis, all the stuff. And here we are now. We're about to take over Cuba. In what way, in what shape, or in what form? How does this happen? How does this happen? Do they surrender to us? Let's listen first.
To put it mildly, a failing nation. And I've been hearing about Cuba. I said before, since I'm a little boy, I've been hearing about Cuba, and everybody wanted to change. And I can see that happening. Marco Rubio is dealing on it, and at a very high level. And, you know, they have no money, they have no oil, they have no food. And it's really right now a nation in deep trouble, and they want our help. Well, Cuba's doing very badly. They are failing. Cuba right now.
Marshall, your thoughts? Now we're going to break this down. I got a little bit more.
I think it's fantastic. You know, it's a long time coming. And you know what, Brett? They have dragged this out for my whole lifetime. This should have been done back when I was a kid. I mean, it's so easy. It's right there. Look, man, just become a part of the United States, brothers. And then your friends can go to Miami.
Well, let's go back. I'm not going to show any videos. I'll drop the information.
This is going to happen.
Cuba's population is 11 million. Okay, let's break this down. I'm not going to show videos and stuff. What's that look like? You're seizing control of Cuba. Is it a soft coup or a non-coup? Is it they're just handing reins over? Is this a humanitarian, social, political, financial, and military interim government? And by whom rest the shoulders upon? Obviously, it goes from the State Department. So Miguel Diaz-Canel, the president, would have to, in some way, negotiate a handover that's not a coup, that will not cause a violent revolution, but a transference of power to stabilize this region. The economic infrastructure, which is the main scenario that is happening. Could the floodgates open? American businesses go in, we modernize the ports, restore power grids because of the blackouts and the hurricanes. You know, obviously, you got to go in there and fix the power structure, the running water, everything. I mean, what does the food shortages entail? We're dropping aid packages, medicine, mass migration to Florida. My attitude is this. I don't want a Mario boat lift 2.0. So you want a naval blockade. You want military planes controlling the airspace. You want to push Russia and China out as a no-fly zone. But I don't want just dropping packages down. I want to make sure that a stabilization will come in, that the food shortages will be remedied by a controlled paramilitary operation. If you want a Mario boat lift, we cannot. Miami cannot survive that. So it's not, these people will not be able to get out. Now, the question will be, how many more Cuban Americans that want to go back to fix their fucking country will be allowed back through a state passport to be a part of some type of semblance of a group collective of democracy that will help this? And you need businesses there. You need American businesses there. You need an actual structure that is set up in place. The long-term scenario, Puerto Rico, yeah, how's that working out? Without full statehood is the ultimate goal. I don't want it to be Puerto Rico 2.0. I want it to be better than Puerto Rico because we're 90 miles away, and I think we can. I think we can because there's so many dissidents that want to save their country, see their relatives, get the people out. They want to make the country better. I'm concerned about the violence, the upheaval, all the lot. The Mario boat lift, the worst of the worst, that unleashed holy hell, you can't let any of these people come to this country. Not for a while. People need to be what? Just like we go through the process of this whole thing, sealing our border. Fix the country. Find out who these people are. Only 11 million people there. That's less than the population of Florida. Florida's got 22 million people there. It's half of the state. Easily fixable. Easily garnered. Get everybody tagged and bagged. Get everybody, let's just say, acquainted to the ideas that we can fix your problem. We can make your life better. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay. And open trade. Open trade. Open trade. Rum, cigars. My God. I think in some way, annexing Cuba, and I don't know how it's going to unfurl out. I don't know what it looks like. But the possibilities will be immeasurable. And think about, we end up working with the Cuban population to have naval bases there, underwater sea bases there, aerial flights 90 miles off of Florida. It's what we always wanted. The long-term projective analysis is highly beneficial to us. And also, as Marco Rubio said, ending communism once and for all and showing people what we can do for Cuba after 60 years of this will change the ideology once and for all. I believe he's right. I believe Marco Rubio's 100%. If we can fix Cuba, it will certainly just change everything. Your thoughts as I drop all the bells?
Yeah, I mean, it's 100%. 100%.
Blown away.
Blown
away. We're both Floridians. We know.
Yeah, we should definitely. I almost feel like they should be a 51st state, but I'll leave that out and I'll just say, look.
Well, how can you don't want to make that proxy argument with what they're trying to do with DC and other things.
If anything, take the strip Puerto Rico's status and give it to Cuba. Because they're ungrateful bastards and they're corrupt as shit anyway.
Well, if you annex the country like Cuba and it's under military, it's under our, I don't think it's going to be annexed in the way that we think it's going to. Personally, I think it's going to be totally different. I don't think it's going to be. I just use the argument as Puerto Rico. And I would hope that it's a better model than Puerto Rico.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
absolutely.
What's your thoughts about that?
I think it should be somehow part of our country because they are so right close to us.
Right.
And they could use our help so much. And they would love it so badly. There's just no. And then all the Cubans in Miami, their families can go back and forth. You've got the trade going on. You've got tourism going on. I would love to go to Cuba and check it out.
So are you suggesting in some way that, hold on, are you suggesting in some way it should not be Puerto Rico, but something else?
Yes.
Okay. I agree with that 100% because I was thinking about, well, what does that look like? What does that look like where we are right now?
Well, look, the Puerto Ricans, to me, have been very ungrateful.
Yeah.
Just like, they're kind of like Israel.
Say it.
Like Israel.
They hate Americans. They're racist.
For many years. They hate, they're just assholes about it. We give them everything.
I would say Cuban Americans or Cubans in general are much more grateful and respectful. I think Puerto Ricans hate America. And I think they're all Democrats and they're all scum. And, my thing is kicking. I understand why we have that there, but Cuba has to be something totally different. It can't be Puerto Rico 2.0. It has to be something that has much more weight. We have to show a shine. We have to show that what we have done this is happening. And they basically said, if the president, Miguel Diaz-Canel, says, we will cede power to you, please help us. What does that look like? So they're under temporary auspices of our protectorate. Russia, China out of the equation. We go through the process of doing all the things I said, monitoring the ports, food shortages, aid packages, medicine. We install a naval blockade. humanitarian, social, political, financial, military, let's just say all in play. It's going to take all of it to get the infrastructure up, which is the most key, get the power, the water, everything running, Army Corps and engineers, get things up and running. And what does it look like? Do we cede power back? Do we allow them to have their own governance going forward? Do we bring Marco Rubio and other dissidents that are Cuban Americans back into the fold to reshape a government, a democracy with senators and congressmen? There's only 11 million people in there. What do we do in some way to give them back their own independence? Is that what we want to do? Or do we annex them for a time being and we absolve them like Puerto Rico? And that is going to be the overarching argument, I think, that a lot of people will say, like, I don't know if I want to take it on conditionally and financially because it's going to cost us a lot of money. It's going to cost us a lot of money. But what will that be? Will that be part of more military and financial operation through the funding through that? Because you'll have to think that it'll be all about military and financial and social and humanitarian, because all that funding will be about securing the areas outside of that. And that funding will grow and grow and grow. And so that will, in years, encompass Cuba. So either we annex them and take control of it and have wholly ownership of it, and they surrender, and we create a new de facto government through the State Department, which I'm also concerned about. What do we do? What do we do in some way? Because obviously 60 years of failed communism has destroyed this country, over 60 years. So they have no viability and no understanding, no education about how to govern. So we have to take control. But where does that go thereafter? That will be the argument. I dropped all the gold pills. Go ahead, Marshall.
I don't know how deep it's going to go as far as the details of how they become a part of America. Right. One way or the other, Brett, in my opinion, Cuba is now going to become a part of America. One way or the other. No holds barred.
No, I agree with that 100%.
Think the bigger picture on this whole thing is it comes back.
Miami Vice will never look the same.
Yeah. What the bigger picture is, what it comes back to what we talked about 2 or 3 months ago, hemispheric dominance. We take
the Donroe Doctrine.
Hemisphere.
Yeah.
And then Israel and all this shit, and people will finally realize, why are we over there when we're not here in our backyard? Take care of your back. I think it's about, once it comes down to it, it's about hemispheric protection or.
I think we have no choice, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to take control of Cuba, whether you like it or not.
Yes.
And ultimately, it might be a good thing. Because if we can rid a 90-mile, let's just say, island from communism, that 60 years ago they parked missiles there during a Cuban Missile Crisis that could have destroyed Florida, Miami, and many other areas. The protection and solvency of that corridor is germane. It's actually now being proactively looked at as a corridor that we must fix. And I think they will give these people an out. They will give these people sanctuary. They will allow these people to continue on as we relegate the humanitarian, supplemental, social, political, and financial opportunity to negotiate a total handover. I think so. And it's not a coup.
Yeah.
It's not a coup. Thank you, One Thunder, for the cookie. Let's listen to this, and we're dipping out.
Think of it. 1 year, a little bit more than 1 year now.
1 year.
Time flies. Time flies.
This was today.
Maybe we do one more term. Should we do one more term?
You want to do one more term?
More term.
He's in Texas, Corpus Christi.
Well, we're entitled to it because they cheated like hell in the second.
Oh, we're entitled to it.
We would actually be entitled to it.
How would we be entitled to it?
The price of eggs is down 60% here. 1 year.
It's going to happen.
So, yeah, I agree. I've always felt, and I've always said to Marshall, my co-host, that he'd get 2 years based on the 22nd Amendment. But I think in some way, this has always been legislated out. I already think this has already been done, Marshall. And I think that if he already knows that it's been already done, that when this truth comes out, there's no way to argue it, but you'll have to make sure from a legal standpoint it's proffered, because that's why he puts them on blast. He wants the Supreme Court to be known that, look, whatever they render, it is what it is, whether I like it or not. And if they rule that he can get another term based on a stolen election because of China and foreign interference and other things, it's game over, ladies and gentlemen. It's game over. And holy hell will break loose. And I believe that's when the demons will come out swinging. That's our show tonight, Marshall. Any parting thoughts? I mean, I'm excited about Cuba. I mean, look, I am. I mean, I'm a Florida boy.
Yeah. I lived down in South Florida like you did, for years.
Over 20.
I'm loving this. I'm up in Central now, like you are. You're across from me over in Tampa.
Yeah.
And I'm loving it. I am loving this. I couldn't. Everybody stay positive. I think we're heading in the right direction.
I think this is a good thing. I think that how this is going to be manifested and broken down. I know people make jokes that Marco Rubio, I mean, he's the Secretary of State. Obviously, he'll be overseeing this. All right. There'll be people in position to provincially oversee the transition if it happens. But you have to have a discernible, negotiable handover and not a soft coup. It has to be conditional upon him telling the people America's coming in to help us. Do you understand that? If he doesn't do that, we're going to have a problem. You're going to have terrorists, and who's to say that 11 million people in there don't have their own terrorist groups and other criminal activity? So we can't just say willy-nilly that and blindly walk in on like everybody's going to be cool with this in some way. So this is going to take a lot more going forward.
The island, what was it? The Gallanitas Island or whatever.
Yeah.
They call it.
Yes. Yeah.
I forget.
All right. We did, because I didn't do a show. We went on 3 hours. So I want to thank everybody out there. I want to thank Marshall. Help him out. Ko-Fi.com/SurfDog74. Thank you, True Terran over here, for the $17 Rumble Rant, the $50 Rumble Rant. Man, you're one of the big players over here on Rumble. I want to thank everybody donating over here and stuff. I can't get the leaderboard, but we will return. I might try to do a show on Saturday. I have to go to a wedding on Sunday. I was planning on that, but I might be home. It's been raining a lot, so we'll see. And I'll get into more greater discussion because I really want to talk about what I see as a forward potential for Cuba and a couple other things. I don't think people are really recognizing the greater potential for a Florida transactional trade operation, American businesses, everything. I just don't want a Mario boat lift. I don't think we're going to get it. You can't. You're going to have, All right. So that's our show tonight. We got to dip out. God bless. Good night. Be well. Be safe. Take care. We shall return on Monday. Ciao, Bella.
Good night.